All right, Ingram Smith, Bud Elliott back again for another episode of the Nolecast. Um, Bud, why don't you take the intro real quickly? I'm sorry, I have a little technical difficulties.
Yeah. I will. This is teamwork, man. What we hope to see the Knowles have on Saturday. Ingram Smith, Bud Elliott, back again with another episode of the Nolecast. I'm Bud. That's Graham, and he is. We're working on some technical difficulties here. If you guys are watching the YouTube, so welcome in. Happy Friday to y'all. I see a lot of people in the chat saying they took Troy and they took that Wake under. Never in doubt. That was good. And Florida State 8-0, big ball game this weekend, heading on up to Pitt. You are making the trip, right?
I am headed up there later this afternoon. Yes, I am.
Nice, man. The weather is, I would say the weather is manageable, right? Like it doesn't look that bad. I'm looking at this thing for the weather on this, and we do need to start with the weather, right, before we get to the prize picks portion. I was looking at this earlier. It's really like it's not insane, man. 54 degrees, 8-mile-an-hour wind, 15% chance of precipitation.
Nice. Yep.
Like
if you told me that's what I was getting in Pittsburgh in November, I'd certainly take it.
Yes. Yeah. 1,000,000%. So let's do the prize picks because we have been absolutely killing it on prize picks. It's been a whole lot of fun. I went 5 of 6 on the prize picks for the official Nolecast card. You guys got to follow us on the Nolecast Twitter account, twitter.com/Nolecast. And we were a Tez Walker injury away from going 6 of 6 and having yet another 25-1. But it has been a really, really fun and profitable year. Yeah, I'm definitely sleepy. I didn't sleep very well last night. Sorry, guys, but I am here and ready for this one. Let's see first of all, let's see, did Prize Picks put up the Florida State odds yet? I feel like they know it's coming, right? Like people are like, hey, we couldn't give the ones you guys gave out on the show. I was like, that's because we have a pretty big live audience. And if you don't get it, live, you need to wait for that Nolecast one. All right. So Jordan Travis, 284.5 pass yards, more or less, half of an interception, more or less, 25.5 fantasy score for Jordan, more or less. Trey Benson, 67.5 rush yards, more or less. And then Trey Benson, 15.5 fantasy score, more or less. Curiously, there are no receiver props up yet. Is that because we have been murdering prize picks on Keon Coleman? I don't know, but I have a theory here. Prize picks, I mean, we can't bash them, but like they're our sponsor. Prize picks, come on. We want Keon. Give us
I think they're waiting for clarity on Johnny before they give a Keon number, is my personal theory on that.
That's probably true. I think the appropriate number this week for Keon should be like 45 or so, like
yeah, good, maybe 5.5 fantasy score or something like that.
Yeah, that would be nice if they'll give it to us. All right. These seem pretty juiced up. I don't know that I would really go more than on most of these. Jordan, half of an interception feels like a trap to me because he has had, a decent number of dropped interceptions this year, and the way that's juiced is interesting. Benson's caught the ball recently, hasn't really busted a whole lot of huge runs, but has had a lot of huge plays, specifically against Wake in the pass game, which has been solid. But if I had to take one today, I think I would go with Jordan more than 284.5. Pitt's going to make you throw the football. And I think FSU probably will be able to throw it. Other things to look for. I would probably play Castellanos in Boston College less than his passing yards tonight. If you find any number close to 200, 197.5 fits the bill there. Yeah, so let's have some fun with this. Prize Picks, promo code Nolecast, proud sponsor of the show, and a lot of y'all have joined. 100% deposit match bonus if you want. I also put up an NBA one. Did you know I enjoy the NBA?
I'm getting more and more opinion of that. Yes.
Yeah. I actually don't know how to pronounce any of these guys' names, but I do know math. And the NBA has been extremely fun with prize picks early this weekend.
But I do know math. Yes, absolutely.
All right. 100% deposit match bonus, first time depositors, promo code Nolecast. Enjoyed it. Everybody liked the video. Pitt is Pitt's having a tough year, man. Like a really, really tough year. Florida State favored by 21 and a half. Over under like 50. That I've seen some Pitt games this year. I'm like, okay, I see what they're going for. You know, I've seen some Pitt games where I'm like, oh my God, these guys look terrible. Cincinnati game, like since he hit some explosive passes, Pitt really had a problem at quarterback. They were playing Phil Dracovic, our old pal from Boston College who transferred in. West Virginia game, they were really banged up. They lost 6-17. That was one of the worst football games you'll ever watch. And I'm not saying it was all good defense. It really wasn't. North Carolina, they came out and they had a pretty game effort. Like they played their butts off. They scored a little bit. UNC, Drake May had to make big time, like Heisman looking plays to beat them. To beat them by what they did, 41-24. They really kind of cratered at Virginia Tech. Go into the bye week. They beat Louisville in a game that honestly, like, they hit a couple deep shots and they had a couple turnovers. That's sort of their recipe because they're still going to play decent enough defense. They lose to Wake Forest third string quarterback, which we all know that kid looks like. That's a problem. Now, they had the game won. Their quarterback slides like 2 yards before begins his slide like 2 yards before the first down marker. He really could have just continued running and just got the first down and ran out of bounds because at that point, 3 knees and you're done. And then last week, I think last week could have gone very differently. They pick off Sam Hartman twice in the first 3 drives in South Bend against Notre Dame. And their offense didn't do a damn thing with it, man. Just zero. And Notre Dame ends up like gathering themselves. I think Pitt sort of, I don't want to say gave up, but I think the defense was disheartened that they come out, that they pick off Hartman twice, dude, and the offense does zero with it. And Notre Dame won 58-7. I don't know. I have kind of a hard time like figuring out exactly what this team can be. I know what it has been. Have you watched much of them this year?
A little bit more at the beginning of the year. I think you get them at a good time. I don't know that, last week the coach's comments mean a ton, but
it's probably
we've said this for a year or two now. I mean, part of the challenge of college football is just getting into late October, November and still having a motivated, focused locker room, whether that be because of, NIL or the transfer portal or whatever else. It's changed the dynamics of it. And as you said, that certainly wouldn't be an asset in that equation as to, how focused, bought in, motivated, etc., that you want to label a team. I do think they're good on defense. I think it's going to be interesting look as to try to get a little bit of barometer as to how Florida State does with a average to above average defensive line. It's kind of the concern as to, if wherever the governor on this team or the ceiling on this team is, that's probably the first place that you would look at. So interested to see how they match up there, but don't think that this will be all that much, relatively speaking, all that much of a challenge for the visiting team.
I tend to agree for the most part. Pitt is going to try to make this game ugly. Narduzzi came out and was like, I hope they grow the grass super long and water the field and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Unfortunately for him, that's not going to happen because they played an NFL game there on Thursday night. Last night. Played.
Yeah. The grass was cut.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is an atrocious field, though. Like it looks ugly. It's not fun to play on. It probably will play slow. Like I can't imagine it's in great condition after having an NFL game, just 48 hours before you played yours, or less than 48 hours actually, because that was the primetime game. They'll try to make this thing ugly. They'll grab a lot. They will probably play pretty damn hard. I can't imagine that FSU has more motivation in this game than Pitt does, if Pitt has not quit.
Mm-hmm.
But also, there's a chance Pitt quits. I really haven't seen a Narduzzi team with this profile before. They have switched quarterbacks. Christian Vier, he's been terrible as well, honestly. Jerkovic was 5.6 net yards per attempt. So Vier has a negative or a less than 1 touchdown interception ratio, a little 5-6 action there. Not great. He does chuck it deep, more than 11 air yards per pass attempt. So wants to throw it deep a lot. And that's basically what Pitt can do. They have 2 receivers in Mumfield and Means who have like legitimate deep speed, and they'll try to throw play action on early downs to get you. Like that's kind of the only thing this offense does that's worth a damn at all. Pitt is 126th in passing success rate. I mean, I'm trying to think off the top of my head teams that I know are worse than that. Probably Charlotte. Maybe like Nevada. Iowa is probably there if I had to guess, right?
Iowa.
I mean,
good guess there. Yeah.
So, I mean, 126 is incredibly bad. Like they just cannot consistently play pitch and catch. They don't run the ball super well. They ran it kind of well on UNC for like maybe 40 minutes, but for the most part, they struggle to run the football. But they do hit explosive pass plays. That's like the only thing that they do well at all. Also, if you get them behind the chains, they're for the most part toast. I know this will be clipped and will actually if they hit some, 3rd and long type stuff. But if you survive the early down shot plays, you're mostly okay. This offensive line has been pretty banged up this year. I've been reading some of their reports. It looks like this is the healthiest offensive line for Pitt it will have been in a couple weeks, minus the guys who are out for the year. But like it looks like they're getting a lot of their guys back. So maybe you get a little better version of a Pitt team than otherwise you would have thought, I guess. But it's really just survive the early shot plays, dude, and be physical up front. Don't give them hope with early scores because they really can't move the football. Oh, by the way, they're excellent in the red zone on offense. They're 7th in the country in red zone touchdown rate.
No,
like
the anti-Clemson. Yes.
Yeah, basically. So you can actually argue that that they probably should have scored fewer points than they actually have, which is hard to do. But this is the worst offense you have faced all year, with the exception of probably the Syracuse one when they were clearly just trying to get to the bye week. Like it's maybe not. Maybe Wake last week with how banged up they were. So look, I would expect you to have a lot of success defensively. You need to be able to come out on offense and score a number of points that is acceptable and allows you to win, right? Acceptable, obviously, but like this is kind of where this game, where you need to take care of business early so you're not in a 4-quarter fight, because that's what Pitt's going to try to make it. Talk about fighting. Somebody will fight for you in the mortgage process. The legendary team, 844-FSU Loan. 844-FSU Loan is the number to call. That's going to get you connected to Chad and Shannon. More than 500 Nolecast listeners have decided to use Chad and Shannon, the legendary team, for their home loan needs. I've used them twice. So 502 more. I know you've been working with them on a project as well. So look, honestly, I think they do a great job, right? They're going to fight for you, get you the best rate they possibly can get you, customer service, knowledge of the industry, and a whole lot of awesome reviews from our listeners. So personal experience there. Let's talk a little FSU offense. It's explosive, man. That's kind of a good recipe, actually. Like, I don't know if you love being like not super efficient, but yes, very explosive in terms of like the game-to-game variance is potentially a little unsettling at times. But ultimately, this is an explosive FSU offense, dude. Right? Like, Pitt is a team that is going to stop you pretty well on a down-to-down basis. And then they do struggle with giving up the explosive play. They're much, much better at stopping you. Like, they'll probably get a decent number of run stops and tackles for loss. Like, Pitt's D-line doesn't suck. They play exceptionally hard. They're really well coached. They use their hands well, and they're really high effort, high motor guys. Like, that's a good D-line. It's at times will probably give you some problems, right? Like, do you
Yeah,
get
a
Robert
little
Scott
chilly,
back
a little
this game
windy.
this year? Yeah, right.
Um,
Exactly.
I'm just interested to see how the offense comes out. In a way, I mean, having Keon Coleman's awesome in just about every way, but having Keon Coleman, who played at Michigan State, is a good thing here. Just, I mean, I'm not trying to sound like an old man, but a lot of that's just mentality and going out and focusing and not letting that it's 52 degrees bother you or whatever else. I think as long as Florida State gets off to any kind of solid start and doesn't disastrously go out of its way to try to help Pitt into this game, they should be good. I will be interested in how some of the skill guys respond. We've left the Prize Picks promo behind, but one reason I'd be skeptical about Benson is just he had a really strong, solid performance last week, and if he maybe we see another one of those this week, maybe you see him generally rested or at least on somewhat of a snap count, so to say, for the Miami game. I do think that as long as you guys, or as long as the skill guys have some kind of ability to get started quickly, I think Florida State will be ultimately fine in this game. The offense is explosive. I mean, look, the offense goes on these long runs in almost every game, so I don't want to steal that from them, but I'll just be interested to see what type of run game and what type of short pass game they can get established with Pitt's defense and their defensive line in particular.
Yeah, look, with Pitt's defense, they're going to dare you to hit the hard stuff. They don't give you a lot of the easy stuff. So, like, it is entirely foreseeable that you could be in a tough game in the third quarter here, right? Like, I felt very confident you're going to smoke Wake. Felt really good you're going to beat Duke. Syracuse, same way. Vatek, same way.
Yeah.
This does feel a little bit different to me if Pitt shows up because they are going to dare you to hit the explosive stuff.
They're
Jordan
gonna
has
dare you to hit
struggled
the
this year.
explosive stuff, and last game you didn't have Bell,
Yep.
excuse me, Hill, not Bell, Hill, uh, Hakeem, and who's the third guy that I'm forgetting? And Johnny, yeah, of
Yep.
course. So we'll see of that group who you get back. I don't know that there's been any definitive declarations one way or another. It does sound like at least one or two of those guys might not be back, but yeah, can Darian Williamson, can Kentron Portier, can Rodney Hill, Ja'Kai Douglas, some of these guys that are some of the secondary options at these skill positions establish themselves and have a good game, or at least have a good start. So
Agreed with you on that. Look, Byers has played much better in recent weeks. You can say it's competition, but I still think he has played better. Just getting more comfort in the role, I think, helps quite a bit. But you do have a problem on this team at left tackle right now. And when you face good defensive lines, they will exploit that and probably give you trouble. So, like, Deion Hayes is a guy for them. I mean, 16% pressure rate is like nationally elite. He's going to be in your backfield most likely, unless you get like much improved play at left tackle, right? Like that ain't easy. Okunlula for them has 4 sacks, but I think Hayes is the guy who, and Kamara as well, is pretty good. But like they do have some real defensive linemen here who we just need Jordan to hit the downfield throws when he gets the one-on-ones consistently. Like Pitt will give you those. Clemson gave you those. You couldn't hit them for a lot of the game, right? Vatek gave you some of those. Struggled to hit them at times. This is a good game for Jordan or a good showcase game for Jordan because Jordan's a guy that wants to get drafted and maybe like drafted higher than, like the last round or two. The early NFL draft stuff that's coming out right now, some of these lists don't have Jordan as a top 10 quarterback, right? That's a little surprising to me, but not entirely surprising. These downfield one-on-one throws are throws that you have to make in the NFL. They are the ISO balls. Like you got an advantage with your receiver. You need to make a competitive throw that allows your guy to make a play on ball. And Pitt will challenge Jordan to make these throws. So this is a game where he can make some money, or he can really, further sow doubt about how much he can play in the NFL. Now, Pitt has struggled with mobile quarterbacks, by the way. Like they haven't faced a lot of them, but it has been a problem for them. Vatek was one. Like Wake Forest, not a ton, but they did run the guy some. Cincinnati with Emory Jones gave them some problems for sure. West Virginia, they did some quarterback run stuff, but their kid got knocked out pretty early. So, I mean, Jordan running around could also be in play here because like Pitt rush lane integrity when I've watched them has been a bit of a problem.
Want to thank our friends at Congruity. CongruityHR.com is the general website. CongruityHR.com/Knowles is the Florida State specific page that was created there. Continue to have inquiries, and friends of mine and people that I've past worked with ask about Matt Lewis and the team. As we are fond of saying, give him the most wholehearted of endorsement. Been great for us on multiple projects. If you need assistance with payroll, whether it be small company, large, or anything else, would encourage you to reach out to me or reach out to Matt. Again, congruityhr.com is the website. And I think we've had even more sponsor synergy recently. But as far as people continuing to work with each other, I think Matt has pretty much the full, well, yeah, I think he's got the full For the Table restaurant group roster, and he's working with the legendary team as well. So not only Bud and I that endorse Matt, the people that we work with as well. Fantastic company, great people, congruityhr.com.
A couple more things I wanted to note on this Pitt offense. It's just actually better. It's Graham's wife,
Yeah.
but that was awesome, man.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
She has a good sense of humor on that one.
So look, you need to get in. You take care of business early. That way, you're not playing, a 4-quarter fight road game with Miami on deck. But there are some things the team continue to work on, and we'll have to see. Hope. Do you root for Miami to win this weekend so you get a night game in Doak?
No, I don't think you ever root for Miami at all. I think you're going to get a night game. I sure hope so. I really, really hope so for many reasons. I think a number 3 Florida State or a number 4 Florida State playing Miami at home is going to get a night game regardless, but we'll see.
I think so too. I'd be surprised if they don't.
I'd be happy to adjust tailgate plans and otherwise for a Miami loss. More than happy to. So,
a couple things on their depth chart. There are some different names that I've been monitoring for Pitt this year. They have a couple linemen who have struggled and are out. Jake Cradle was their center. He's, I think, done for the year. They really have problems up front. Like we mentioned, this is a game that Jordan can make some money, or potentially, a game that he's gonna have to recover from as far as NFL draft questions. Defensive line. I mean, guys, left tackle Branson Taylor, 4.3% pressure rate allowed. Okay, can deal with that. Guard Ryan Baer, 6% pressure rate allowed. Gavin Bartholomew, when they keep him in to block, he's their tight end. Nice 9% pressure rate allowed. Not really. I don't know. Maybe Pitt should just not keep him in the block anymore. So Collier and Zubik are decent for them. Those are 2 of their dudes, the right guard and their left guard. But edge pressure here, this could be a pretty big verse in Peyton game. These guys have to be watching this film this week and be like, "Oh, it's on." This
had a couple recently.
They have
a couple recently. Yeah, absolutely.
Look, they don't throw it to the tight end a lot, but some. I mean, he has 17 catches on the year. Bartholomew does. That's what, 2.5 per game, I guess. It's mainly just a lot of targets to the 2 outside guys. The slot is Dejon Reynolds, who was at Florida. He plays some for them, but again, not a major threat. If you avoid turnovers, if you can block them up enough, and you throw enough quality 50-50 balls, or if Pitt just wants to bust coverage or 2, that also is totally fine. But I guarantee you, FSU coaching staff wise, and you hope player wise, I guarantee they're not going up there thinking this is cake, right? Because Pitt will be physical, they will grab. I'm not saying that generically. Some teams don't. Pitt is going to try to make this as ugly. They'll play really slow on offense too. So, yeah. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, the Altruda family. Altruda? I think I saw the comment. Is working on their third
loan. Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Very cool. So, Yeah, I feel good about this one. I don't know if I feel amazing about this one. It's hard to come out and blow people out that many weeks in a row, and it would be about a month of blowouts now.
Where's the spread on this one?
21 and a half.
Okay.
So, do you think it's going to be bomber jacket weather?
I think it would be lovely bomber jacket weather. In fact, I've got a pack here. I've got a flight later this afternoon, and I need to find a bomber jacket or maybe order one for a future game. But no, great people at homefieldapparel.com have all sorts of options for Florida State fans. In fact, one of the pictures that made its way to Twitter of my wife impersonating Bud was in a lovely home field FSU sweatshirt. So you can check the Nolecast Twitter account for that and many other humorous things recently. But homefieldapparel.com, you will be shocked by how many schools they have partnerships with. If you're looking to do some early Christmas shopping, that's a great place to do it. Nolecast 23 will get you a additional discount at checkout, and whether it be the whether it be the bomber jacket, whether it be a sweatshirt or a Renegade and Osceola t-shirt, they have those wonderful options and many more. Homefieldapparel.com, and we thank them for their support.
Prediction time.
And we got a couple this and that's we can touch on real quickly. Yeah, I'm gonna go 35-16, Bud.
I'm going to go 31-13.
Okay.
Just a little kind of ugly game, but a game that, I don't know, you think FSU has with 10 minutes to go. So, awesome. Yeah. Were you listening to the radio recently?
In regards
to one of those this or that's?
Oh, yeah. No. We saw a question earlier in the feed about whether or not we thought the Dabo wanted our opinion on the Dabo call and whether or not it was purely authentic. I personally don't think it is. I've worked in that industry. You don't get a 2.5 minute runoff on the head coach on a coach's call-in show. That just is preposterous. And it's not like, if that were to happen, it's not like, oh, call screener's getting fired. It's like, no, Dabo's never doing the show again. Like that, just doesn't happen, y'all. And the host could have stopped that conversation at multiple different times. He could have interjected. I don't think that was an authentic conversation. Whether or not you want to say, one party planted it or another, whatever else. And I know Dabo's fond of a question getting directed to him, and it just wouldn't shock me. I'll put it that way.
I 100% agree with you. Apparently, Larry Williams tracked the guy down though and interviewed him.
Okay. No, all right.
Like,
well, that's
still
interesting. Doesn't mean what I said wasn't true, but good for Larry. They got a lot of interesting characters up there, and Larry's been at it for a long, long time. Yeah, no, man. I mean, that's like the most sterile environment of all time. It's a corporate sponsorship type thing that you can add on, and like I remember when it was going south for Paul Hewitt, like he didn't even take questions his final 2 years at Georgia Tech. You're not just sneaking onto the coach's show to hit the head coach with a 2x4, metaphorically or literally. But yeah, I have questions about the authenticity.
I mean, 6 years ago, we had Mike Tomkowitz on this show after he was the one who finally was able to sneak in a question to Jimbo.
Yes. And he snuck in a question, and then he was carried out of the building. Okay, that's to my point. You don't get 2.5 minutes at it. Now could somebody?
FSU did apologize for the guy pushing.
Right,
Like you really can't put hands on somebody at a coach. Now, granted, it was not a super hard show, but anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean you can't. Can somebody get around a call screener? Of course, anybody can. I mean, a third grader can get around a call screener, but do you get that long? Does somebody not interrupt you? Yeah, that's where my skepticism comes from.
I will say, like, if it was fake, the guy did some nice setting up, like hey, you're a real jerk if you kick this guy off right now. Like he talked about how he's been to all the Clemson games since he was a little guy, grew up, bleeds purple and orange or whatever.
Yeah.
The only games he missed is when he was overseas in combat in Iraq,
saving your ass. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you can't. Like, can you dump as the call screener producer? Can you dump the guy after he's like, The only Clemson game I've ever missed is when I'm overseas in Iraq. Like, you look really kind of like a jerk at that point if you don't let the guy get the call out or get the. But 2.5 minutes or whatever
You
it
do.
is.
You do. The second he says the Tommy Bowden thing, the call's dropped. I'm just from past industry experience. But funny stuff.
I gotta ask.
Did you see Lane Kiffin's comments this weekend? Dude, Lane is on one, dog. He had the one that a lot of people referenced about not letting Texas A&M hit their team goals or whatever. He's like, I hear their team goal is a bowl game, which is remarkable. And then he also had a comment about somebody asked him like if the team was going to rally around Jimbo since they thought his job might be on the line. And Kiffin's response was something to the effect of, I mean, I'm pretty sure he entered the season on the hot streak or on the hot seat, and it doesn't seem to have changed things to this point. Amazing. So I doubt it. Kiffin is something special. Really,
it's been an interesting week for all this coaching drama stuff. Like a very interesting one. By the way, on Clemson, I really thought they were like potentially live to beat Notre Dame this weekend because Notre Dame offensively is just not very good. But like reading all the injury report stuff out there, like Clemson might be down. Like the Tyler Brown, like their stud freshman receiver might be out. Antonio Williams, like 3 offensive linemen. It looks like they're really got hit with the injury bug pretty hard. So I don't know how Clemson scores. But in thinking about it, like, are they really that far away from being good again? You need to make like 2 offensive changes on your staff, preferably fill the roles with guys who have coached football before at a high level, not just friends.
It's a reasonable prereq.
And you need to use the portal like on a limited basis. The thing is, Clemson's got a lot of young guys who are really good. Like a lot of those dudes making plays against FSU they had an FR or an SO next to their name. So if they don't bolt, like if they don't leave, they don't need they need some help. I don't think they need a complete roster overhaul unless guys leave. So I don't know. We were playing buy or sell on 24/7. I was like, I'm gonna buy. Like maybe Dabo's completely lost his mind, but is it that hard to say, hey, please make 2 offensive coaching staff changes and at least embrace the portal a little bit? I don't know.
What exactly were you buying? You're buying them winning 10 games next year, or what?
Yeah, like something like that. Yeah, it was like buy or sell the like the long term, and like the other guy was like, I'm going to sell because
because of what's transpired over the last,
which is reasonable too. Yeah,
2 to 3 years, but particularly the last 2 to 3 months. Yeah.
Let's see here, other ACC stuff. We talked schedule. We talked. Playoff rankings.
Yeah.
We've not done a show since playoff rankings came out, right?
No, we haven't. We did it the night before.
I don't give a damn about these playoff rankings, okay? It's a made-for-TV product. They don't follow their own precedent from week to week. In fact, they don't really seem to follow it from like sentence to sentence on the same damn press conference.
Right.
I put up the Vegas odds to make the playoff. FSU is number 1 in the country to make the playoff at 70-1. Or excuse me, 70%. Georgia's like 2 at 67%. So I don't think it matters. Take care of your games and you're going to the playoff. Have a certain stumble and still win the conference. I still think you have a better shot than people realize. Okay. Georgia is not a 3-touchdown favorite over Missouri this weekend. Alabama is a field goal favorite in Tuscaloosa, which over LSU, which implies that LSU is like a half point better or maybe a full point. If you're giving Bama like 4 for a nighttime home field, which I think is reasonable. Texas is a 4-point favorite over Kansas State. Oklahoma is not even a touchdown favorite at Oklahoma State. Washington, your current undefeated in the Pac-12, is a field goal favorite at that USC team. It is absolutely not unreasonable to think that we have a 2-loss Big 12 champion and a 2-loss Pac-12 champion.
So how's the Big 12 championship structured? Is it just to the 2 best of, or how do they do that at this point?
Yeah, it's not divisions anymore.
Okay. So you could see Texas and Oklahoma again. Yeah.
If they both win this weekend, it is very likely you see Texas and Oklahoma again.
Okay.
Yeah. but like they all have losable games left. I mean, it's.
I guess you gotta. I mean, yeah, I certainly think if Florida State wins out, they're going to the
Easily.
playoff.
Yeah.
And the only concern I would have is if you were to have a one loss Georgia, one loss Bama, one loss Texas, where Bama just beat Georgia, uh, Texas has beat Bama earlier, and that you might have some creative math to find a way to have those three teams get in the playoffs, and you've got an undefeated Big Ten champion. So,
This is
and maybe Washington too. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Look, I mean, a one-loss Pac-12 team is going, I think, based on how well the league looks this year overall. But we'll see. This is a very important week for Georgia's schedule, I will say. Because if Bama loses, which is possible, I mean, three-point favorite, that like losing to a two-loss Bama team in the title game.
Yeah, Georgia's got to go undefeated. I see what you're saying. Absolutely.
Now, Georgia plays Ole Miss next weekend. Ole Miss already has one loss. If Jimbo clips Lane, and again, they're a 3-point favorite. Vegas doesn't think Ole Miss is better than Texas A&M. They think they're even on a neutral. That hurts Georgia's strength of schedule. A very weird one. Florida is hosting Arkansas. Florida's a 5-point favorite in the swamp. Vegas thinks Florida is like a 2.5-point better team, roughly, than Arkansas. Maybe you give Arkansas a point for the bye week. Florida at home at noon is not quite Florida like at night in the swamp. So, like if Georgia blasts Missouri, there's absolutely a path where Missouri finishes unranked. Oh, and Kentucky, by the way. Kentucky is a 4.5-point favorite at Mississippi State. There's absolutely a world in which we sit here, and I'm not saying it's super likely, but it is absolutely possible and foreseeable that we sit here, A&M beats Ole Miss, Mississippi State beats Kentucky, right? Arkansas beats Florida, and LSU beats Alabama. And all of a sudden, Georgia's looking around like, can we get some ranked teams here? Because we're going to need some. And that really could hurt quite a bit. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No. I actually think all the favorites are going to win. But it's possible. So I'm a little bit selling one-loss Georgia getting in if Georgia loses in the championship game. Because then their non-conference sucked, and their in-conference schedule just wasn't that great. So, but yeah, I do think FSU is pretty good, pretty big LSU fans this weekend.
Yeah. I just need to be riding on out in all likelihood.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, if LSU wins this weekend and A&M wins, LSU is very likely to be playing for the SEC championship. And then you would have smoked the SEC West champion.
Yeah. Then you got Miami, NC State at night. So, you can decide ultimately who you want to cheer for in that game.
Kind of weird, man. Like there's a lot of close games this weekend. Goal is for FSU to not be one of them. Like I don't want to talk any FSU on Cover 3 Saturday night recap. Just rocking chair, doesn't get to it, not a close game. Stay healthy. We'll talk a lot of it, at FSU Miami next week. I mean, heck, like, Oregon has Cal. They're not going to lose that one probably, but like that late night Washington game is going to matter a whole lot. Whole lot. So
great place to watch all these games on a road weekend is Charlie Park. Really, all of the For the Table restaurant properties, but Charlie Park, just absolute brilliant spot. And it's where I watched the Washington-Oregon game come to a conclusion, bud, and great cocktails, great food, and a whole lot of TVs to catch up on whatever games that you might have an interest in. Charlie, I would make your reservations if you're coming from Miami. I just helped a friend book yesterday, and there aren't many slots left. So if you listen to this and you have an interest in going to Charlie Park, go to the website now and book for that weekend. But Charlie Park is Tallahassee's best rooftop bar, a place that Bud and I both legitimately love and try to use as frequently as possible when we're in town. And yet another great example of what the talented team at For the Table has done. Charlie Park, rooftop.com is the website, and a big thanks to Matt Thompson and the whole team at For the Table.
What else we got on deck this weekend? Are you guys doing a get together there for Pitt, or are you just going up for the ball game?
Just headed up. Have a couple different things going on tonight and tomorrow, but no official tailgate or anything like that.
Man, Arkansas is getting bet pretty hard right now.
Okay. God, let them win. Please let them win. That'd be great.
Now, that actually is interesting because, like, if Arkansas, Florida has 5 wins.
Yeah, I believe so.
All right, Florida has 5 wins. They kind of got to get this one. I mean, like, they're favorites to win at least one of LSU, Missouri, Florida State, but not big favorites. Like, this is kind of the one you need to get to feel comfortable about going to the bowl. Otherwise, when you're at LSU, at Missouri, host FSU, that's for strength of schedule. Do you want to be able to point at Florida and say, hey, like, that's another bowl team you beat? Because Vatech and Boston College, by the way, are trending in the right direction. Like, FSU schedule, especially if BC wins tonight, you're going to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Because Virginia Tech's going to go to a bowl now, I'm reasonably sure, and BC has a pretty good chance. And you're like, look, man, beat a whole bunch of Power 5 bowl teams. That will be a talking point that I think FSU will start to push.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see, dude.
3:30 game. Can you do the instant, or what's the availability there?
I think I can do the instant.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you can't, let me know. I can get something out later that night, but it may take me a second to get back to the hotel. Just let me know what.
Pretty good chance I could do the instant.
Cool.
Should be a really good time. Oh, Patrick sent us our thumbnails. Appreciate that. Patrick does a great job on all of our art. That's about all I got this week, man. I'm excited to go. Like, assuming Pitt shows up, it's a test of your maturity and your ability to be like a straight killer. Like, you want to see that this team is like a natty type team. Have Pitt show up and go beat them by 30. Mm-hmm. Right, and like leave no doubt type thing. That'd be encouraging. Let's do this thing.
Let's go. All right, y'all. Appreciate the support as always. Look forward to catching up with you post game, whether it be myself or Bud, and then we'll be back probably Monday with a look back and a preparation for one of our favorite teams. So look forward to next week. Should be a lot of fun. Look forward to Saturday. Hopefully just keep on moving on with that O in the loss column and enjoying a special year here. Talk to y'all soon.